Are there situations where you bought something from maybe let's say from a supermarket, and only for you to go there again and you are asking for that same thing, and they brought the same product, but this time around in another packet, and you ask, what is this? And they tell you, oh, it's the same thing. What do you think would come on your mind, will be topmost on your mind? If you're like me, that is very conscious about safety, very especially if they are edibles, very conscious about what I put in my mouth, you most likely may want to turn down or reject such products, even though in all honesty, in truth, it's the same product. The only difference is that the packet this time has changed. That is exactly what some of you do to your brands, especially do to your branding. Some of you would assume one name or one thing today. Tomorrow, you assume another thing. Day after tomorrow, you assume another thing. And as a result of that, you're wondering why you're not making sales. You're wondering why people are not buying your products. You're wondering why people are not taking your service. The reason is very simple. The reason is because you are not being consistent with your branding. And as a result of that, it gets people confused as so, okay, of all of this, which is the original and which is the fake? This, dear friend, is the 10th reasons. Is the 10th common mistake rather people make when branding their businesses. It's on this note that I welcome you to yet another edition of the show, Business Sense with Coach Simon. I'm a business branding coach and consultant, and my mission is very simple. It is to help empower you, equip you to build a globally profitable and irrelevant brand. And I've helped a couple of individuals and a couple of businesses. I've helped them create or develop their brands that have gone ahead to do well, have gone ahead to win on the global stage. And yours too can also be part of that success story. So, the lack of consistency with your branding is a very big mistake that you make. Some of the things you may not know is that, number one, it creates confusion. That is disadvantages now of not being consistent, lack of consistency. It creates confusion on the minds of people. People will be wondering, is this really what we bought the last time? Is it really who these people are? Aside that also, it even makes it easier for people to impersonate your brand. It makes it easier for people to adulterate your brand. It makes it easier for people to compromise the quality of your brand. Since your branding is unpredictable, people cannot predict. That is the reason why what some businesses, wise business people do, or wise organizations do, or wise brands do, when they want to rebrand, they put out a statement. They put out a notice that due to whatever, we are going to be rebranding. We're going to be assuming a new look. Like what I saw one of the financial institutions in Nigeria did very recently. I stumbled on that. I don't know how recent that news is, but I stumbled on it. I think it was yesterday or so. And they informed the public that they used to be known as this. They are now going to be known as this. And interestingly, the changes wasn't that much, but it is very much that people can easily impersonate them. And as a result of that, they didn't want to leave that to chance. they decided to brand. They decided to put out a notice out there that they were going to effect some changes on their branding. If you're not consistent with your branding, your brand becomes vulnerable to all kinds of evil and wicked acts by the men of the underworld. So it's one of the mistakes that most people make. Then the 11th mistake that is very common that people make or that businesses make when it comes to their branding has to do with generalization over specialization. And I would explain how. Most people want to brand on a general note, not on specific or not in specifics, but on a general note. Like, for example, if you run a business, you run an organization that has several branches. For example, let's say you have a fashion outfit, you have a dry clean outfit, you have a maybe dry clean and laundry services outfit, you now have a digital marketing outfit. These are 3 different businesses that may not necessarily be related. So what you can do, like what I do is with my brands, because I have several of them, what I do is that I have like an umbrella, the portfolio brand, which is like the coordinating brand, the one that oversees the activities of all of these other brands, which is a Limitless One Group. Then I have others brands, sub-brands under them, like Limitless Finishing Services, Limitless One Consulting, Limitless One Academy, there's Limitless One Media. Are you getting my point? So all of these are different businesses, but under one umbrella. But some people will not do it that way. They'll prefer to have one big pot and named one particular thing, and they now want to have several businesses under them. In as much as that may work, you may not really get the kind of traction, or you may not really get the kind of benefit you should have gotten if you had treated them as individual brands. For example, you have something like Simon Matthew Nigeria Limited. In as much as that is good, right? Simon Matthew Nigeria Limited. In as much as that is good, it would have been better. Simon Matthew Nigeria Limited, then you now have several businesses, graphic design, training, you now have painting services, all of those things, blah, 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 under them. Anybody that sees it would think that this person is a jack of all trade and master of none. But imagine with me that you have Simon Matthew Group, all right, as the coordinating brand. Then you now have other brands named like Simon Matthew Academy or Simon Matthew Training Institute. You have that one. You now have Simon Matthew Painting Services or Simon Matthew Finishing Services. You now have that. You now also have Simon Matthew Graphics Services or Graphic Designing Services or Simon Matthew Media or Simon Matthew Productions. You have that. So between the first option and this option, which do you think people will take more seriously? I will leave you with that. I will leave you to answer that. You can do that in the comment section. Most likely people would prefer to do that. So generalization creates confusion, and it opens up room for questions. People begin to ask you, okay, Simon Matthew Nigeria Limited. The next question will be that, okay, what exactly does Simon Matthew Nigeria Limited does? What does it do? People now begin to answer all kinds of questions. But imagine I said that Simon Matthew graphic designing services. People already know that this is what we do. Graphic designing, Simon Matthew graphic whatever answers to that. Simon Matthew finishing services answers to anything painting, wallpaper installations, and all of those things. Simon Matthew consulting answers everything that has to do with consulting. Simon Matthew Training Institute answers for training and all of those, anything related to training. That way, your branding becomes more effective. Now, I get it. I get why people may not want to go that route. You think that it's going to be capital intensive. But here's the thing. I agree that it could be capital intensive. But branding on a general note, so you know, branding is really cost effective. Especially if you are deliberate about it. It is going to cost you. But the beautiful and the good thing about it is that the reward that comes with it are really enormous. And at the end of the day, you are going to enjoy it. So generalization over specialization is one of the reasons, is one of the common mistakes a lot of people make. Let me end with the issue of personal branding. Now, if you are generalistic in nature as a personal brand, you will find it very difficult for people to connect with you. It will be very difficult. Now, the reason why people can easily know Cristiano Ronaldo, the reason why people can easily know Dr. John C. Maxwell, right? The reason why people can easily know Fela Drotoy, the reason why people can easily connect with the likes of Chris Do and the rest of them, you understand, is because in as much as they have several expressions, they have succeeded in carving niches for themselves. So therefore, when the subject of leadership comes to mind, one of the powers or one of the standard pace setters you can almost refer to, or that will come to your mind, is Dr. John C. Maxwell. I don't know if you're following. Then when it comes to branding, it comes to designing, one of the powers you can almost refer to is people like Chris Do. You understand? So that is the power of specialization over generalization. And personally speaking, I am who people refer to as a multi-potentialite, meaning that a multi-talented person, like what the layman on the street knows it as. So it got to a point that I was just doing my thing. I was just all over the place. I'm doing writing, I am speaking, I am designing, I am doing this, I am doing that. And I realized that I was just all over the place floating and nothing was happening. But the moment I decided to focus, to take branding as a focus, to the point where I even created the Limitless Branding Institute, right? I realized that I started getting results because people started reaching out to me on the basis of branding. On the basis of branding. Are you getting my people started reaching out? I started getting invitations to come and speak. You understand? There are certain boot camps that I think I've been to. There's a boot camp that I have been to that have been featured, I think, on 2 or 3 of their editions. All right. It happens every year, like that. And I began to see better results when I became specific, when I decided to specialize my brand other than just generalize, other than just telling people that I do this, I do this, I do, other than just being all over the place. I decided to focus, even though I still do the other things on the low key, but what I decided to project and promote the more is that I'm a business branding coach and consultant. And that way, I became more effective, and the results, I started getting reasonable and tangible results. But if you choose to do generalization, if you choose to generalize your branding, other than giving it the needed attention, you may really not get the kind of results that you desire to get. And that could be a mistake that you'll be making with your branding. Don't forget, the first thing I mentioned is lack of consistency. If you're going to adopt an element, you're going to adopt a color, ensure that you are consistent with it. Not that you're doing this today, tomorrow you are choosing white, day after tomorrow you are doing black. That creates confusion, and that opens up, that makes your brand vulnerable for impersonation and all kinds of unwholesome activities that could happen on it. Then also generalization, being general other than being specific. So I trust that these few things that I've shared with you, I trust that they have stood out. And should you have questions or comments, feel free to reach out. And if you have need to speak to someone about your branding, or you have some concern about your branding, feel free to reach out. And if you want to know branding in a holistic manner, I would recommend strongly the Limitless Branding Institute. You can also reach out to sign up for one of our programs. Until I come your way again, Samuel Matthew is my name. Keep doing business, keep making money, and very importantly, please keep living the limitless life. God bless you.